Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this presentation of Trump versus Biden. Can you afford to leave your retirement to change? And what it's about, the election coming up in several weeks from now. It's one of the most important elections in our lifetime, with a lot of decisions here going forward. And what we're going to be doing today is talking about both sides, and if President Trump remains in office, what his plans are, and if Mr. Biden just wins the election, what his plans are. So we're not going to be talking about the Green Deal. We're not going to be talking about society. We're just talking strictly about the products in hand. My name is Dolph, Janis. I'm the presenter today. I've been in this industry for well over 16, 17 years now. I recently published a book, Cross the Bridge to Retirement. If you'd like to have a copy, just email me below or answer a question on the side, and we'd be more than happy to get that to you complimentary. Also, if you have any questions, I will answer them at the end of the presentation. On the right of your screen, you should see a questions tab. Feel free to answer your questions anytime, and I will acknowledge it at the end. So again, thank you everybody for joining us. And also we have some handouts available to you on the right-hand side of the handout screen. One is about the presentation, and in case you didn't take notes or this, that, and the other, that presentation will be there for you. Also, if we have all the resources we offer, as we consider ourselves educators here in the industry, and we have multiple different resources that will, you'll see towards the presentation at the ending, how they'll be very beneficial to you as well. I've been fortunate to be out there and heard a lot, and like I said, I consider myself an educator. I've been published in Forbes 3 times, Nudie 123, Money, Fortune, and all these other ones. Currently, I have a radio show called the Income Strategy Radio Show. I've been airing for well over 10 years now. So I love getting information out there to people. And if you can learn one thing, then you've learned one more than most people did every single day. Now, again, this is a seminar about politics. It's not a political seminar. And what I want to talk about, that means is I'm not going to be talking about political things and all the stuff that's going in society that we see day in and day out. This is more of a seminar about politics and how it's going to relate to potentially your retirement, potentially your savings and your funds going forward. Today's agenda is going to be quite simple, but a lot of information packed in over the next 30 to 45 minutes for you. First thing we're going to do is cover the last 4 years under President Trump and what he's done and different changes he's made, whether they're good or bad. And then we're going to go into the meet and gritty, of the next 4 years after that. What happens if Trump wins this election and what he will be doing, and if Mr. Biden wins the election, and what his plans are. Now, again, these are what they've said they're going to do. I can't guarantee this in stone that this is what they're going to do. This is what they plan on doing. You know, things change when it comes to this, but most of these guys stick to their guns and what they want to do. Then we're going to cover the political scenarios of between red and blue and what the changes are going forward. And of course, at the end, what does this all mean to you? Obviously, nobody's situation is the same. Everybody's situation is different. Some of you are not retired. Some of you are getting ready to retire, and some of you are already retired. But at the end of the day, it could affect every one of you in one way, shape, or form. We're also going to be examining during each one of these is one of the big ones that most people always want to talk about is taxes and what it means to you and what their plans are on taxes. We're going to be examining Social Security, which of course, with all the changes out there in Social Security, you want to know how it's going to implement yourself, because Social Security in life is one of your biggest assets, believe it or not, that you have going for you. And we'll explain on how Social Security is such a giant aspect of your portfolio. They're going to be covering retirement accounts, 401k, IRAs, realty, and all this other stuff, annuities and stuff, different places that you have your retirement accounts going forward, and how this election could potentially affect that as well. Then we've had to add this one in because it's a biggie, because this is one that concerns a lot of people, and that's called healthcare, one of your highest costs in retirement going forward. And of course, your estate. What does it mean with your estate going forward, and what changes could be potentially made? So if you bundle these 5 things together, when it comes to your retirement, these are 5 of the things you should be considering more than anything else out there. You got taxes, Social Security, your retirement, healthcare, and estate. What else is there to cover when it comes to your portfolio? And this election could be interesting going forward. So last 4 years, 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago, President Trump won the election over Mrs. Clinton, and he took office. And he's made a lot of promises, and he did a lot of different changes. A lot of it which you've seen, a lot of which you haven't, a lot of it which you like, a lot of it which you don't. But at the end of the day, this is actual stuff that did happen. So we're going to start with those 5 things and start with taxes. What has Trump done with taxes over the last 5 years? Well, one of the things is he was one of the biggest gross tax cut in American history, over $5.5 trillion over 10 years is going to be cutting taxes. He's kept deductions from retirement savings for individuals, deducting and helping people try to save more if they possibly can while saving more taxes. He's allowed retirees ages of 70 or older to directly transfer up to $100,000 a year to qualified charities from their IRA. This charity counts towards taxpayers' RMD for the year, but isn't included in the taxpayer adjusted gross income. This is one of those things a lot of people don't know, and a lot of CPAs haven't really been informed of, believe it or not. And this is more for the wealthy, obviously, but I mean, even if you're not wealthy and you're in the middle class area, and let's just say your RMD is $15,000 a year, and you don't need that $15,000 a year, but you have to take it. And now with the RMDs being at 72 years old, it allows you to donate that $15,000 to a church, charity, or some of that nature, and it counts towards your RMD, but you don't have to raise your taxes on that. And that's one of President Trump's biggest things, is having you pay less in taxes going forward. Now we'll flip the script on that with President Trump and go into Social Security. He recently pitched the idea, and I'm going to say recently pitched the idea, to cut Social Security contribution rates from paychecks and so forth. Some see this as a gift to working class Americans who put more money in their pocket. Others see it as an effort to end Social Security and take away benefits from the elderly and disabled. It can go both ways, because many believe that Social Security will be depleted by the year 2035 anyway. So which way are they going with this? There's pros to this and there's cons to this, depending on each person. And again, depends on your age group. Off the record, I personally don't think Social Security is ever going to go anywhere. I think there's going to be a heck of a lot of changes over the next 15 years in Social Security. But a lot of this relates to immigration, engaged to the tax structure, engaged to payroll. I mean, unemployment. A lot of these ways are going out there because we have a lot of people on unemployment. That's less people paying into Social Security. So it's a round ball effect where the economy controls this. And I think that's going to be the biggest key over the next 15 years. Trump and 401ks and retirement accounts. He recently got passed the Secure Act earlier this year. And this was a bipartisan bill that was heavily, like 487 to 3, passed pretty amazingly between the House and the Senate, that both sides agreed to, that did raise the RMD age to 72 and allows Americans over the age of 70 and a half now to make contributions to their IRA as long as they show their income, where before they couldn't do that. It also allows penalty-free withdrawals for new parents and lets part-time workers participate in 401ks, which was not allowed before. And this is for new parents, is that myself included. I adopted a daughter 6 years ago and needing extra money and stuff like that. It allowed me to recently take out money from a 401k to allow for unwanted cost or costs that you didn't have right now. So it's a lot of people that maybe ask extra money without any penalty. But one of the big things in the Secure Act, and there was basically 27 big provisions and only 3 or 4 have been talked about, what was the no more stretch IRAs. And what a stretch IRA, if you're not familiar with it, is basically if John has an IRA and he's married to Mary, and he's got 3 kids, Peter, Paul, and Joe, and John and Mary both passed away, Peter, Paul, and Joe would receive that IRA, and they're all in their 40s and 50s. They could stretch that IRA over their lifetime, not burning themselves on taxes. Well, now only John and Mary can stretch the IRA, and if Peter, Paul, and Joe inherited that IRA, they have to withdraw that thing over a 10-year time frame, hence posing a bigger tax burden for them, and they can't stretch it out. So that was a big negative, but also a positive for the government, because that means they're going to get that money quicker. Now, healthcare is a wild one. We all know that Obamacare exists, and some people love Obamacare and some people don't. I mean, obviously the one side loves it, the other side don't, but he wants to privatize Medicare insurance for seniors. He claims that this will create more affordable options and a better range of services offered on private plans. And he doesn't support the Medicare for All program because he doesn't think we can afford it. And if we did that Medicare for All, he thinks it would really hurt on Social Security and so forth. But some people claim that Trump will put the seniors at risk for higher medical costs and surprises while also restricting the objects of Medicare Advantage. One of our advantages here at the office is we have Jeff Conyers available with us, and he's been a Medicare specialist for well over 20 years, and he knows all the ins and outs of this and can guide you through one way or the other on this, because Trump allows states to curtail Medicare benefits and reduce the number of people eligible for Medicare, which means states can now enact new worker requirements and cut benefits, etc. And over on the right side of the screen, you're going to see him on healthcare from 2017 to 2018 on a little timeline of different things with the Job Acts and his administration allowed for recipients. And if you need that whole timeline, there's a website we can send to you that will send it, the link there, if you want to take a picture of it. Will show you how healthcare changes in America under the Donald Trump healthcare plan. And as far as the states, not that big a deal as much. He doubled the estate tax exemption, which benefits the heirs to their wealth. And it means you can give away more money without taxes. And if you can see the whole, premise of Donald Trump in this whole presentation, everything comes back one way or another to lowering taxes, which is one of his bigger things, which of course one side thinks it's great to lower taxes. The other side says, well, where's that money going to come from? So that's one big thing on him. So now that we've gone through the last 4 years of Trump, let's just say President Trump wins the election this year. What is he planning on doing if elected? Again, this is planning on doing. This is not saying he's going to do it, but this is the things he's saying right now that he's going to do over the next 4 years. He's going to do an extension to the potential extension to the Tax Cut and Job Act. And right now, it currently expires on the eve of 2025, which is basically 4.5 years from now, well, a little less than that actually. That would, January 1st of 2025, that would be gone. He wants to see if he can extend that for several numbers of years, so that will be one of his top priorities. He wants to do potential cuts to Social Security rate, which I'm a social, how do I put this in the proper words? I don't work for Social Security, and with cutting the rates one way or the other, it could be a lot of pros and it could be a lot of cons each way. You don't know which way to look at it, depending on which way Social Security rates are cut. Are they cut on the payroll, the people who are paying into Social Security? Are they going to be cut in benefits or for healthcare? That's the big question, unknown if he's reelected. 401ks, his benefit retirees may continue to possibly continue for market climb. What he wants to do is allow retirees to continue to contribute to their retirement accounts, even if they're retired, as long as they can show some kind of earned income. I think that's a wonderful thing personally. In healthcare, you can expect to see Medicare privatized, which could mean more options, but unfortunately at higher prices. No Medicare for all. Medicare Advantage may be restricted, and states may have more power to decide who is eligible. And this is going to be a fight back and forth. Again, a lot of pros and cons each way. Benefits a lot of people and it hurts a lot of people. So it depends on which way the states that you live in are going to decide who's eligible for what Medicare program. In the states, he's going to probably do an extension on a tax state exemption, but stretch IRAs will still be gone. Now, if Mr. Biden wins the election in, if Biden wins the election coming up, this is what he says he's going to do. Again, this is what he says he's going to do. I'm not saying he's going to do it, but this is what his platform is going on. Taxes on net wealth is a negative. He's going to increase estate taxes and reduce exemptions on people, which enough said there. He's going to increase taxes on capital gains. You can see right off the get-go the difference between President Trump and Mr. Biden right now is taxes is going to be a big issue. He's turning away tax annual appreciation on capital gains. He's going to increase top individual tax rates. Not going to do any surtax on high income. He's going to increase corporate tax rates. He's going to increase payroll taxes. This is what he said he's going to do, not whether he does or not, but this is what his plans are. He's not going to do anything with depreciation or amortization. Nothing to do with tax on security transactions. Nothing to do with increased taxes on foreign income. nothing to do on taxes on healthcare premiums, and he's not going to repeal tax rates and pass-through businesses. So this is his president or president to be or election to be or the Democratic nominee Joe Biden's options on some of the things he's going to check. And then we asked if we could do a side-by-side comparison on this between Mr. Biden and Mr. Trump. And by regulatory purposes, we cannot do that because Mr. Biden did post this on his website. Mr. Trump has not, so we can't do that for legal purposes. So you can put two and two together. But when it comes to individual loans, Joe Biden and taxes, he's proposed several tax changes to help senior citizens and those who care for them. And he plans to increase tax benefits for elderly who pay long-term care insurance with their retirement savings. He also will allow workers over 65 years of age to claim earned income tax credit if they're eligible. That's what he wants to do on taxes. So as far as Joe Biden and Social Security, he would like to make all income subject to Social Security payroll taxes. Wages are currently above 137,000 and change are not subject to payroll taxes, meaning once you hit 137.7, you don't pay Social Security taxes anymore. He wants it to everybody, as long as you're getting income, you're going to have to pay a Social Security tax. There's no stopping point. He'd like to create a $5,000 tax credit for informal caregivers, family members, and other loved ones providing long-term care to the elderly. Basically, if you have somebody taking care of you or working for you and that nature, or as a caregiver, you get a $5,000 tax credit for that. And caregivers are also allowed to make catch-up contributions to retirement accounts as well. When it comes to Joe Biden and the 401k system, he wants to enhance tax breaks for lower and middle income workers who are saving for retirement. And he wants to create tax credits for small businesses that offer retirement plans for their workers. And one of his quotes recently was, "When the middle class does well, everybody does very well." When it comes to healthcare, he wants to keep and improve Obamacare. He wants to increase the credit amount by basing it on the cost of gold level health plan, not silver. And he wants to impose tax penalty on pharmaceutical companies that increase drug costs by more than the rate of inflation and take away advertising deductions. This is his plan on healthcare. Some of this stuff we'll agree on, some of the stuff we'll disagree on. But again, everybody's situation is different. As far as Joe Biden with the estate, he wants to eliminate the step-up basis for inheritance capital assets. Basically, when people inherit capital assets, he wants to eliminate the basis for it and just make it a flat cost, which means more taxes on their heirs. So if someone had $1 million inheritance and they had to pay the capital gain, he wants to put capital gains taxes on that, which means if it was like a qualified account and I received $1 million inheritance from my parents, let's just say, I would probably only net out around $556,000 of that money after inheritance taxes, after gain taxes, and after penalty taxes. So going into the future, Joe Biden wants to keep the filibuster. He does not want to add to the Supreme Court. And he's unclear on his view on the Electoral College. And now these three things are like, well, why are we talking about this today, Dolph? Well, because the filibuster has been widely used in the House and the Senate, and it's been beneficial for one side more than the other. So that's what his view on that is. The Supreme Court, and what he means is do not add, meaning stacking the Supreme Court, of putting more judges on the Supreme Court than we already have. And the Electoral College, he's unclear if he wants to try to get rid of the Electoral College and say, hey, it's just going to go by popularity vote and it has nothing to do with Electoral College, which could be going both ways, you know what I mean, going in the future. So now we're going to cover some of the political scenarios and what is out of this whole presentation and basically from most likely to least likely how they happen. According to history, and people do say history repeats itself, scenario number one is we're going to have an eviction at 1600. And just by chance, if you don't know what 1600 is, that is the address of the White House. So in this scenario, the White House is going to become Democratic and Joe Biden will win the election. And the Senate will stay Republican and the House will stay Democratic. This is believe it or not, with the history, the most likely scenario. A similar change has not happened in any of the 4 times that one party held just the House. Every incumbent with an approval rating of 49% or higher has won the re-election, while every candidate with a rating of 48% or lower, according to 538, has lost. In his first 4 years, Trump has not consistently risen above the 45% level of approval. So hence, this is the most likely, according to history, will repeat itself, and Joe Biden will win the presidency in a couple of weeks. Another scenario, we're going to go all blue in Washington, meaning President Biden's going to win the presidential election, the Democrats will take over the Senate, and the Democrats will keep the House. This has happened 2 out of 4 times since 1900, resulting in full Democratic control of the White House and the Senate and the House. This is scenario 2 of what, if history repeats itself, most likely will happen. Scenario 3 is it's going to stay status quo. President Trump will stay in the White House, the Republicans will keep the Senate, and the House will stay Democratic. Status quo is maintained 2 out of 4 times also, once with the party controls as it is now, and once when the GOP had the House as well. And the least likely scenario, according to history, and this is rollcall.com saying this, is the Red Revival, where President Trump takes the White House, the Republicans keep the Senate, and Republicans take over the House. A similar change like this has never, ever happened in history, according to rollcall.com, in the history of any elections. So prepare yourself one way or the other during the 4 scenarios. So what does this all really mean for you? Well, when you're coming to retirement, secrets or returns is a huge thing to worry about when it comes to retirement. Many people are focused on the average annual returns on their portfolio, but the sequence of returns may be much more important depending on how you're taking your portfolio out, and whether you're going in or you're already in retirement. And why? Withdrawals. Let's just say you have a balance of $250,000 in your account, in your portfolio right now. You can see the 250,000 right here. And you started this in 2000, and now we're in 2019. At 250 has grown with all the ups and all the downs to $692,000. Now, we're not going to talk about strategy 2 over here, but strategy 1 is basically, yes, it is an annuity, where 0 is your floor, but you're only getting half of the gains. You can see that 26 turns into 19, whatever. But amazingly enough, taking away all these huge gains but eliminating the losses, you still have $737,000 in your portfolio. Whoa, you have more than here. And mind you, there's no fees over here in strategy 1, where I have fees in strategy over here. I'll say, well, Dolph, this thing is stacked because it starts off with all these negatives and stuff like that. Well, let's randomize this. No matter which way, I'm going to keep on pushing this button. You'll notice the dates keep on changing. All these things over here. As many times as I change this, what's the one thing that stays the same? The 692 and the 737. So you have a 19-year history, no matter which way you go with it, positive, negatives, front loaded, back loads, and the totals are here the same. Now let's just say you want to take out withdrawal. Morningstar says you should take out 5% or 4% to 3%. Well, let's just go 5% because you need the money. You want to take the money. So we're going to reset this. If you take out 5% and started doing it in 2000, at the end of 2019, you've taken out your $12,000 every time. Your balance is negative. You're out of money. Where in strategy 1, you put zeros in there, you still have $220,000 left out of your $250,000. Now we're going to randomize this as well, and you're going to see those numbers at the bottom. In this scenario here, you have a great start to your portfolio in retirement years, so you're doing well. You still have a bunch of money left. The annuity's still hanging in there. Now we go randomize. Sequence of return changes. Now guess what? 0 is going to outperform this way. There's over, I think, 185,000 different ways of shaping this numbers out, and less than 5%, the one on the left will outperform the one on the right, because of the sequence of returns level within the portfolio. And I said we can just randomize it as many times as we want, and you'll see that the right side is 90% of the time higher than the left side. Because if you take out withdrawals during your down market, it's doubling the effect to hit your portfolio. Because you need to take out withdrawals. You got to sell low without the ability to gain by buying low, sell more to generate more income, which means you're selling off retirement nest egg at a faster rate and a higher rate of running out of money. And what I mean for you during the election, why am I talking about this? Because if you're getting in retirement or you're in retirement, and depending on who wins the election, this next 4 to 8 years, the sequence of returns in the portfolio could really affect your nest egg one way or the other. Which way are you prepared for? A guaranteed return or an unknown? Because it comes down to longevity. It's the biggest risk in retirement. It's a risk of running out of money. As people continue to live longer, longevity and risk is because retirement assets have to last that much longer because people are living longer. I mean, if you see from the chart, over the last 20 years, I mean, life expectancy is going from 68 all the way up to almost 78 years old. That's 10 more years in retirement. People are living in the 90s and 100 years old. And once again, how does this affect from the election, is depending on how the election goes, are you going to have enough money if you lose a big chunk in the next 4 years or gain a big chunk one way or the other? So it's called about protection. Income you can never replace. Money you can always replace. Income you can never replace. Because history is suggesting we're going to see a fully blue Washington next year, or things will stay the same way they are right now. Are you looking forward to a major change, or do you prefer things the way right now? This is a question you have to ask yourself. Do I expect a major change, or am I fine with the way things are going right now? Take COVID aside. Let's just say the vaccine comes out, we get all healthy again. We don't have to worry about COVID anymore. Let's look at all the other things going in there: taxes, healthcare, estate planning, 401ks, and so forth. How is this going to affect you? Because at the end of the day, no matter who wins, do you have a plan either way? You have a plan for if one side wins as the other. Do you have an understanding of how you can maximize your Social Security benefits now versus waiting? Have you figured out how to protect yourself from inflation? Where's your income going to come from? Because generally there's only 3 guaranteed sources of income, and that's pensions, annuities, and Social Security are the only ones that will guarantee you income. How are taxes going to affect you? It's a huge question to ask yourself. And are you going to save money for Medicare and long-term care costs? Because 6 out of every 10 seniors that go in there do need some kind of medical costs of long-term care costs in their lifetime. As I mentioned before, I'm an educator, and I believe in educating. I believe in often the resources we offer, and you can see there's a multiple different resources we have here. We have this on our handout page within the presentation, or you can go to guardyoursavings.com to realize which one's here. All are complimentary. Some of these are reading materials. Some of these are in person. And I'm going to give you an example of a couple of the ones we do in person for you right now. One of them, we do a tax map strategy report, and this report is based on your personal situation. We provide information on how insurance and other products can help create a tax-efficient retirement strategy. Now you see all these little charts over here on the right and stuff. Those are all things included in the 18-page report, basically showing you, hey, if you move this money over here, or if you take less money here, it allows you to take more money over there. It's just a full-blown federal tax report. It has nothing to do with state, only federal. But this report has been priceless for, I'd say, 98% of the people I've ran it for, because they realize that they're taking out too much money from some places, they're paying too much in taxes, or it's allowed them to take more money out that they didn't realize and actually pay less in taxes. Also, what we run is a Social Security analysis, and this takes up all the new benefits of Social Security all into this tool that allows us to run this 20-page report that will show you all the different avenues and all the different changes in Social Security for yourself. And we run this complimentary. And people say, well, Dolph, why are you giving so much time to people complimentary? You're running these reports analysis. I say, hey, if I can educate individuals and I can make them better over time, I've done my job. And if they become a client, fantastic. If not, at least I can go to bed at night knowing I've helped somebody down the road in their retirement. We have a workshop assessment form. This is basically I do this presentation also live. And so this is something, if you want to give your personal opinion on what you liked about the presentation, I would love to have your information. If you don't feel comfortable with it, that is fine. If you'd like to set up a time for any of these complimentary resources, please let us know. You can respond to this or give us an email at info@cisforlife.com. Here's the disclosure, basically saying I am not a part of the Social Security Administration. I am not involved in politics. I am not a CPA. I am just an advisor trying to give information out. I want to again say thank you very much for coming. Thank you for all those questions. I see about 7 or 8 nice questions out there, as there's no such thing as a bad question. I see the same question about 4 times, so I'll be answering those questions for you individually. I will email the responses to you for those questions, and I appreciate it very much. If you'd like to schedule a meeting with myself, we have my calendar is your calendar. You just go to calendly.com/DolphJanis, and you can schedule a time and location, whether it wants to be virtual, whether it be in person or be on the telephone. Those are all options on there as well. Again, please, I encourage you to follow us on Facebook. We have a YouTube channel with a ton of different videos of different educational purposes, but I'm get those through our Facebook channel. And thank you very much from me and the team at Clear Income Strategies Group for joining us for this presentation today. So you guys take care, God bless, and good luck.